Namaskara to one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's VAP-Sambhasha Parishad, organized by Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad. Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad is a non-governmental organization that actively conducts academic meets and scholarly interactions, both through online and offline platforms, covering all the subjects in Ayurveda. And one of the most consistent initiative is the VAP-Sambhasha that is held on 21st of every month for meaningful discussions on classical Ayurveda texts. Hence, here we are for today's Parishad, and today's topic is Uttarayana to Wellness, a thoughtful notion that was chosen as we recently celebrated Makar Sankranti on 15th of January, which makes us entering into Uttarayana, that is movement towards the sun and also moving towards growth and positivity. Moving forward, for today's Parishad, we have Dr. Anand Katti, convener, Dr. Mohan Joshi, co-convener, Dr. Nikita Sharma, coordinator, Dr. Devinder Singh Chahar, co-coordinator, Dr. Rohit Ranjan, coordinator East, Dr. Umang Pandya, coordinator West, Dr. Sangeeta Mishra, coordinator North, Dr. K. Venkat Shivudu, coordinator South, Dr. Bharat Jauragade, coordinator Central, Dr. Arvind Kumar Gupta, coordinator UP UK, and esteemed members of VAP Executive Committee, Professor Yogesh Chandra Mishra, Organizing Secretary, Professor Mahesh Vyas, National President, Surendra Chaudhary, General Secretary, Professor Anil Shukla, Rashtriya Pramukh Shikshak, and Sambhasha Prakoshta. I warmly welcome you all. Now, I request Kirtana for starting this event with a soulful prayer.
Om Namami Dhanvantaram Adidevam Surasurairvandita Padapadmam Loke Jararukbhaya Mrityunasham Dhataramesham Vividaushadhinam Dhanvantarim Ramanatham Sarvaroganivarakam Ayurveda Pravattaram Vande Piyushadayakam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Kirtana. Now I introduce our honorable speaker for today, Dr. Anand Katti, who is Professor and HOD of Department of Samhita Siddhanta at Government Ayurveda Medical College, Bangalore, and who is also presently serving as Editor-in-Chief for RGH's Journal of Ayush Sciences, PG Preclinical Board of Studies member at KUHS Tripur, member of State HRD Cell for Department of Ayush under Government of Karnataka, and coordinator of NCISM PG Preclinical Subjects Syllabus Framework. Please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sneha, for the kind introduction. Very good evening to all of you. Sabhaya Namaha. As Sneha was mentioning, we recently entered into Uttarayana, where the movement of sun changed, and thereafter there will be some changes that will be occurring in the nature hereafter, and that happened to be the topic that we decided to have on this Sambhasha session, and therefore there will be a discussion on how Ayurveda sees this, what is that Ayurveda views this event that we generally call as Makar Sankranti, and how its ritualistic practices are going to be useful for one's health. And that is going to be a crux of today's discussion. We will be spending around 30-35 minutes of time discussing these. And when we look into this entire Makara Sankranti, Uttarayana, it's all is connected to one of the fundamental aspect of our study of Padartha Vijnana, which we learned as one of the Karana Dravya as Kala. It's essentially Kala that makes that attains significance, and we'll be spending some time discussing that itself. So what we will be discussing in this session will be what is this Makara Sankranti, what is its relevance and how it is celebrated, what is its importance. And while calculating the time, it comes to our notice that the calculation is decided based on the movement of sun and moon. How different is the calculation of sun and moon that are going to decide various rutus, the rutucharya, and the connection thereafter. And as I said, the festival practices which are in tune with the health practices. It's ultimately that there are some changes that are occurring in the climate and we need to adapt to those changes. That's what is the whole purpose of Ritucharya. So these are the three things that we'll be spending time on in today's session. So coming back to the title itself, it all starts as Uttarayana. Now, what is Uttarayana? Uttarayana is basically the journey of sun, which is towards north. So essentially, the sun is moving in the northern solstice. What it means? It means sun's northward movement across the celestial space, which is basically sun's entry into Makara Rashi, which is known as Capricorn. Now, one should understand the fact that there are two important phases in a calendar year. One is when the sun enters into the Makara Rashi, we call it as sun is making an entry into the northern solstice, and therefore we are calling it as Uttarayana. And there is another entry which is significant, which we call as sun's entry into the Karka Rashi, from where the Dakshinayana starts, where the sun is moving the southern solstice. So Uttarayana is, Ayana means path and Uttara is a direction. Sun is moving in the northern direction. That's what is the simple meaning. But in this movement will have major changes in the climate, and that's why this attains significance. Going further, what is this Makara Sankranti? As I already mentioned, Makara Sankranti is Makara is basically the Rashi in which the sun is making an entry, and Sankranti is we generally say Kranti means revolution. No, there is Samyak Kranti that is occurring in the climate, and we have to celebrate it. We have to celebrate. This is it's a phase where one type of climate is getting changed, and from here a new direction is taken place, and we will learn it in phase wise how the changes are occurring. That's what is Makara Sankranti is all about. So Makara Sankranti is basically a transition of sun into Makara Capricorn, a traditional Indian festival which is celebrating the solar movement. Now, this is an important one. The word solar movement is coming, and we have, when we calculate the months, we have two type of calendars that are coming. One is known as solar calendar, the other one is known as lunar calendar. Now, what's the difference? Lunar calendar is calculated based on the movement of the moon, whereas solar calendar is decided based on the movement of the sun. So we have 12 zodiac signs, we call them as Rashis. Once the sun moves into each, we will have those calendars. For example, we have something called as September. When the sun makes an entry into 7th zodiac, it is September. When the sun makes entry into 8th zodiac, it is October. When he makes an entry into the 9th zodiac, it becomes November. And when he makes entry into the 10th zodiac sign, it becomes December. So that's how the movement of sun is going to decide the calendar month. So that is what we generally call as solar calendar. But we have lunar calendars also. Lunar calendars are the calendars where we decide the month based on the movement of the moon. So we have the 12 masa that we learn as Chaitra Vaishakha. These are coming based on the movement of the moon. And basically, our Samhitas talk about the Samhitas talk about these 2 months making one Rutu. But one has to remember, when we talk about, we celebrate more of the festivals keeping in mind the lunar months, whereas we have very rare festivals like the Makara Sankranti where the movement of sun is taken into account. Now on screen you can see it is coming on 14th January or occasionally 15th January. Now right from many years we see either it is coming on 14th January or 15th January. Now this is because this the solar calendar is the base for present day calendar also. Now when we talk about Gregorian calendar that we use today, it is basically a solar calendar, and therefore the 14th January and 15th January, roughly in between, or on 14th or on 15th day, we will find the Makara Sankranti. On this time it was from the 3 p.m. of 14th January up to 3 p.m. of 15th January that we had Makara Sankranti. Now, another important aspect of this is this Sankranti is also, as I said, is based on the movement of the sun, and the sun has got slightly tilted position, and therefore this movement also slightly gets modified once in around 500 years. So if you looked into the calendar of approximately 500 years before from now, maybe the 13th January would have been the Makara Sankranti. And going forward, if you look into the a calendar that existed around 1000 years back, you would have seen 12th January as the Makara Sankranti. So once in 500 years, one day progression of Makara Sankranti is happening. This is to be noted. Now, going further, why it is celebrated? Now, it has got many reasons. It is, as I was mentioning, it has got an astronomical and seasonal significance. We talk about there is change in the climate that is occurring. Until the Makara Sankranti, the nights were longer, or rather the nights were as longer as the days itself. Now hereafter the days are becoming longer. Now days becoming longer because sun rises quickly. Hereafter sun sets very late, and therefore the duration of day is going to be more than that of the night. So longer days and shorter nights. And from hereafter the winter starts setting down. So the warmth will be more. The sun is moving in the northern solstice, making his intense sun rays would be hitting the earth, and therefore there will be warmth. The climate will be coming in warmer way. That's the another change that we need to see in the climate. And it is said to be an auspicious period for spiritual growth, because hereafter there will be more clarity. There is no threat of the severe cold. Particularly those in South India are quite placed better than those who are in the North India, because North Indian states experiences heavy cold in winter, and therefore for them it makes a considerable difference, because from hereafter they can be comfortable as far as their climate behavior is concerned. So therefore these are some of the astronomical and seasonal significance why we celebrate the Makara Sankranti. And obviously this climate brings its own impact on the environment, on the crops, and this Makara Sankranti naturally coincides with the harvest season. Most of the harvesting also takes place in this season itself, and therefore celebrations are occurring. Therefore It's also a way of giving gratitude to the nature and to the suns, and it is thanksgiving to the abundance, because the crop has come. We have sown one seed, and one seed has come into multiple grains, and that's how we say thank you to the nature. We say thank you to the climate. We say thank you to the soil also, to the land also, and therefore it's a celebration of giving thanks to the nature itself. So that is, these are two important reasons why we celebrate Makara Sankranti. Other than that, we have religious and spiritual belief. So it is, how do the people celebrate? Because many people celebrate it as taking a holy dip in some important rivers in India, like the rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Kaveri. They are believed to clear the papa that we are carrying. It's a way of way that I do a paschatapa and take a dip, and therefore I come out of that guilty feeling. That's the occasion that is being provided by this festival. And there are many people who do charity donations. It's another way of, I mean, when we look into these two aspects, it essentially is the Daiva Vapashraya Chikitsa that Ayurveda is talking about, particularly from various Manasika Bhavas. I have unconsciously done one mistake, so I say sorry now. So charity donations are all the form of saying sorry or giving back to the society. Therefore, I take care of my own health. So these are two important religious and spiritual beliefs why we celebrate the Makara Sankranti. And this is celebrated across India. It's not, no, India. One should know the fact that India is having many states, and each of those states are independent nations also. It is essentially, it's a multipolar, multiple worlds that we see in India itself. So different part of India celebrate the Sankranti in different ways. For example, we celebrate it as Pongal in Tamil Nadu, where it is basically a 4-day harvest festival thanking sun god and traditional rituals. We say Uttarayana. Uttarayana is the name of festival itself in the state of Gujarat, where the spectacular kite flying festivals are being taken, where there are competitions of kite flying in taking place in that part of India. Then we have Magh Bihu, a festival name in Assam, where community feasts are celebrated, traditional bonfires are celebrated. Then it is a festival of harvesting, in particular in Punjab and Haryana, where it marks the end of winter and celebrated as a festival of harvest. And in Karnataka, it is called as Makara Sankramana, where it is a festival where we exchange the sesame and jaggery. It is called as Illu Bella, where we exchange the sesame and jaggery. These have got significance, particularly we are transitioning from one Rutu to the another Rutu. So these are the various celebrations of Sankranti that are taking place in different parts of India. Now, regional and traditional practices have got their own significant practices, health practices also. For example, as I was telling, this is the exchange of Ellu Bella, where we talk about sesame and jaggery, which nowadays peanuts are added, coconuts are added. And this is because we are transitioning from one Rutu to the another Rutu. We are making an entry into Rutu where we talk it as Adana Kala. From here, the climate is going to be hot, warm, and dry also, and therefore we require the til, we require the taila, we require snehana, and we require madhura rasa, and therefore from hereafter we in our practice have to gradually start taking these, and that is the reason why we celebrate it by offering the sesame and jaggery, that is the Ellu Bella distribution among various people. So that's how this is celebrated. Now in Gujarat, I was talking about mass kite flying. Now one has to know, until Uttarayana, it was severe cold, and the cold made us do not come out of the home, right? We were staying in a place which are less ventilated, as in the words of Charaka, we use the terms like Garbhagraha or uh, Ushna Graha, Garbha Graha. These are the terms that Charaka uses for one to protect themselves from the climatic cold. And once we are isolated, we are not coming out to the nature. And here, from here, you can come out to the nature. You can throw yourself across the sun's rays. So you are getting sun's rays in abundance. Your vitamin D synthesis would be more useful, and therefore this mass kite flying is a way of celebrating where everyone in the family comes out, the family friends comes out with the kite and enjoys the sun rays. And in the state of Tamil Nadu, a sweet dish is prepared out of pongal, something that I said with reference to Ellu Bella in Karnataka, where sweets are prepared. A lot of ghee is added to the pongal. So it's again it's again a natural way of controlling the vata. I start using the vatahara measures now itself because vata is going to be increasing hereafter. So as I said, in the states of Punjab and the Assam, it is the community festivals, traditional dances, etc. are being practiced. Going further, okay, so till and good. So these are the two important ingredients in our practices, where the till generates huge amount of warmth in the body. It provides energy during the winter months, and the jaggery represents the sweetness, and sweet obviously reduces the vata, and it represents the sweetness in our relationship also. So it is a way, let there be sweetness in every aspect of one's life. Let there be sweetness in speech, in the body, in our behavior, in our attitude, in our relationship. That is the reason why till and good are being used in this Makara Sankranti festivals. Now, I in the beginning mentioned that as far as Kala is concerned, we have two type of measuring the Kala, and we learned it as the lunar measurements and the solar measurements. Now, we have solar months which are coming to us as January, February, March, April, like that. And we have lunar month which are coming to us as Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jyeshtha, Ashada, and so on and so forth. Now, when we look into our samhitas are more focused to samhitas is given to the lunar month. That's why we have Rutucharya being, even the Grabhini Charya being carried out up to the 10th month. So as per the lunar month, the 10 months of Grabhini Charya is equal to 280 days, which is 9 months and 7 days of lunar calendar. So it makes sense. There is no ambiguity there. But looking into the two aspects of solar and the lunar month, what is the solar month? Solar month is Earth's revolution around the sun. It is the basis of present day calendar, which we call as Gregorian calendar. And therefore, same date every year. For example, January will have 31 days, February will have 28 days, March will have 31 days, and April will have 30 days. That's how the calendar is designed. Then it is, as I was talking about, it is connected to agriculture and seasons. Whereas lunar month it is based on moon's phases, from a new moon to the next new moon. That is, from a new moon, from Hunnime or rather it is from an Amavasya to an Amavasya, a new moon to a new moon journey is called as the lunar month. And it is used in religious calendars. Our most of Panchangas are based on the lunar calendars, where the day shift approximately 11 days earlier yearly. So this is the difference between a lunar and a solar calendar. But in the Indian context, we follow both the calendars. India follows both lunar as well as solar calendar, and therefore luni-solar system is there. Lunar calculations are for seasons and for agriculture. For lunar calculations, for religious observations, all the festivals, whether it is Ramanavami, whether it is Deepavali, whether it is the Holi, all these are coming based on the lunar calendar calculation. So we have rare celebration of Makar Sankranti, which is for solar celebrations. Now going further, spending some more time on these solar and the lunar months itself. Now what essentially is the basis and the movement of sun and the movement of moon will decide. For example, when I say solar calendar, I am defining it as sun's transit through one zodiac sign to the other zodiac. And I mentioned it as sun's movement from one Rashi to another Rashi. We have 12 Rashis and therefore we have 12 months. Whereas the lunar calendars are moon's complete cycle of phases, that is from one new moon day to the another new moon day. So therefore a solar calendar will have approximately 30 to 31 days, whereas the duration of a lunar calendar phases for a maximum of 29.5 days. It starts with 28 days with a maximum of 29.5 days. So that's the duration of 1 month as per lunar calendar. And therefore, yearly total will be, for solar calendar, it is 12 months, whereas for lunar calendar, it is slightly less than 12 months, because it is coming at approximately 354 days. So therefore, it creates some ambiguity in our calendar, and therefore the calendars need to be modified. So as far as the seasons are concerned, so there is a high accuracy with present day seasons like summer, winter, rainy season in alignment with solar calendar, whereas there is a slight drift in lunar calendar. Our lunar calendars are basically going to give us 6 rutus, one has to understand. And you need some correction method in lunar calendar, whereas in solar calendar you don't need. Now what is the corrective methods? Because that gap of around 11 12 days in each calendar of lunar month, which are essentially having 354 days. We know that 365 days are the days that are there in solar calendar. So there is a gap of 11 days, and that 11 days has to be compensated in our calendar, in lunar calendar also. And therefore, at times we will get something called as an Adhika Masa. We will have an extra month coming in our lunar calendar, and that is not something that we see in solar calendar. And as I was mentioning, we have very limited festivals related to solar calendar. The example is Makara Sankranti, whereas connected to lunar calendar, we celebrate Deepavali, we'll celebrate Holi, we celebrate Ram Navami. All these are coming on lunar calendars. So this is basic difference between lunar and solar calendars. Now, as far as the solar calendar is concerned, so I mentioned that these are the 12 Rashi that we talk about. Mesha, Vrishabha, Mithuna, Karka, Simha, Kanya, Tula, Vrishchika, sorry, Dhanu and Makara. When the sun enters into the Makara Rashi, it is Makara Sankranti. I also mentioned that Karka Rashi is a Rashi. When sun enters this Rashi, we have the southern solstice, the Dakshinayana is beginning. Allow me for a minute. I'll just drink water and be back. Okay, we talked about two important rashis, Makara Rashi and Karka Rashi. Karka Rashi, Dakshinayana, Makara Rashi, Uttarayana. Fine. Now, coming to what Ayurveda says. Just a minute. Okay. I want to bring before you one of the biggest injustice that has been done to us by the Westerners when we talk about Gregorian calendar. This may be something that may make you think seriously, because the way we have been handled, we've been treated is very bad by the colonial rules. And okay, why I'm saying this, let's understand. On screen, you are seeing the Gregorian calendar where we have all 12 months names and their rationale. Now, I want you to look into September. Now, what is September? September is, now we know, we've been taught in our high school itself that in September means 7, Oct in October means 8, Now in November means 9, and December means 10. So a question will come, why 7th month is coming as 9th month in the calendar? Now, September should ideally be 7th month. October is ideally 8th month. November is ideally the 9th month, and December is ideally the 10th month. So, but in the present day calendar, September has become 9th month. In the present day calendar, October has become 8th month, and November has 10th month, and November has become the 11th, and December has become the 12th month. So what is the story behind this? Now the story behind this is and you can see on screen the 7th month of the original Roman calendar. The original Roman calendar was also in tune with the Indian practices. Now the calendars are designed based on what changes are being seen in the nature. Now in the nature, when the spring starts, when a new life starts, when a tree sheds all its flowers and starts giving new flowers, new buds, there is new growth is occurring. That's where we should start counting. Because when we start counting, for example, when I start counting my age gets started from the day I am born. So like that, from the day something is born, we should start calculating, and some growth, birth and death is occurring in the nature, in the plants, when a tree sheds its leaves and when tree starts giving new leaves. So that is the ideal way of calculating the calendar. And that was in practice based basically from the knowledge that has its origin from the Indian subcontinent itself. So that was in practice. So therefore, in the original Roman calendar also, the September was 7th, October was 8th, November was 9th, and December was 10th. If December is 10th, then the 11th month should be the January. And January is named as January after a name of a god. February should be the 12th month, and it is named from the Latin source called as Februm, month of purification and cleansing, a ritual that is practiced by the Roman Empire. And so if you realign these calendars, you have to start with March. You have to, second would be the April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, and February. This is the alignment that it should occur. Now, why do we have this change then? The question comes. For this, there is an answer that the Roman Empire has done. There was a king by name Julius Caesar. Now, a king was having this desire that he wanted his name to be remembered by generations to come, and therefore he wanted 1 month to be named after him. Now, therefore, we have July being named as Julius Caesar, named after Julius Caesar. Now, this king has another desire. He wanted that the month which is named after him should have 1 day in extra, that he wanted to have a month as July, but that month should have 31 days. Now, ironically, until that time, there was this 1 month would have 30 and the another month would have 31 days. That's how the things were okay. Now, this fellow wanted 1 day extra in his month. So what should be done? So we have to deduct 1 from the last calendar month. Last calendar month in our realigned was February. So February, 30 days of February now became 29 because 1 day had to be added to July. So that's why February now became 29. Then there came another person by name Augustus, who was another Roman Empire after the Julius Caesar. He also had the same desire that he want 1 month to be named after him, and he wanted that also should have 31 days. And therefore, another day of February was deducted, and therefore we have February with 28 days. Now we have July and August, both are coming with 31 days. This is done by these 2 emperors. They wanted their names and they wanted 31 days, and where it had to be deducted, deduction has to be done from the last month of that calendar. Therefore, February has got 28 days. These people didn't stop there itself. Now, particularly when Gregorian wanted to change this calendar, then he came to December 31. December 21st used to be the shortest day of the calendar, and the day after the shortest day, they wanted to make it as a day of birth of Jesus Christ. And then they started celebrating 21st as Jesus Christ Day. I already said that every 5 years, there is a shift of 1 day that is taking place, and therefore, ultimately today we celebrate the Jesus Christ birthday on 25th of December. And these people decided that should be the benchmark from where the new year should start, and therefore immediate after the month immediately after the birth of Jesus Christ would be the new calendar month, and therefore they realigned the calendar starting with January. And therefore, we have this ambiguous calendar where January has got 31 days, which should ideally be the 11th month. February, which has got 28 days, which ideally should be 30 days calendar with the last month of the calendar. And thereafter, we have March, and where you if March becomes the first month, we are aligning, because that's where we come across with our own Chaitra Vaishakha comes there itself. March and April is the period where the new life starts, where the spring starts, where the original first month, the start of the agricultural season, everything starts roughly in between March and April. and therefore we see the real beginning of life or calendar during that period. So this is the historical mistake that has occurred, and uh, we have normalized everything and accepted it as it is, and we see this ambiguity present in present day calendar also. Going further, as I was mentioning, we talk about the samvatsaras. Here, as I was talking about, here we talk about the Ayurvedic explanation of what it all says, because we learn them. These are the two important references that we talk about as far as Uttarayana is concerned in Charaka Samhita. Iha khalu samvatsaram shadangam rutu vibhagena vidyat tatra adityasya udagayamanam adanam. So the movement of sun towards the northern solstice is called as adana kala. We call it as adana. And these here we have the beginning of three rutus, three in rutun, Shishiradin, Grishmantat. We start with Shishira and end with Grishma. In between we have Vasanta. So Shishira, Vasanta, Grishma therefore becomes our Adana. And likewise Varshadin, Punaha, Hemantantan. From Varsha, Sharad, Hemanta, we have the Dakshinayana, which is also called as Visarga. So Adana Kala, Visarga Kala, the two Kala, they themselves are called as Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. Adana is Agneya, Visarga is Saumya. This is what we learn. So Visarge Punaha Vayo Nati Ruksham Pravan. So which is implicit. That is, in Adana, the Vayu is becoming Ruksha. And therefore, our Til has got a role. Right. Somascha Avyahata Balaha Shishirabihi Bhabihi Apurayan Jagad Apyayeti Shashvat. Ato Visargaha Saumyaha. Saumya, Visarga is Saumya for the reason that there is rainfall occurring, there is dew, there is mist. All these are making the Bhumi, nourishing the Bhumi. There is water bodies are abundant, and therefore the climate is Saumya. Whereas in Adana, which is the beginning of Makar Sankranti, the sun is becoming hot and hot, and he reaches its peak at the midpoint. So therefore Adana is Agneya, where Arka Vayu, where the sun is becoming hot, and therefore the Vayu will also be warmer hereafter. So somascha Kala Swabhava Marga Parigrahitaha Kala Rutu Rasa Deha Bala Nivritti Pratyaya Bhutaha Samapati. So this Kala has got its impact on Rasa, its impact on Dosha, its impact on Deha Bala, and therefore they all become important. So what is the Rasa? We see from hereafter, from the Uttarayana, that Ruksha Rasas are becoming dominant. We classify the Rasas as Ruksha Rasas and Aruksha Rasas. Now, Ruksha Rasas are Katu Tikta Kashaya are said to be Ruksha Rasas, and Madhuramla Lavana are called as Aruksha Rasas. So, in the climate, in the plant, everywhere we start seeing the dominance of Tikta Kashaya Katu hereafter from the Makara Sankranti, when the sun is in the northern solstice. So, which is implicit in this shloka that Tatra Ravibhihi Bhabihi Adadano Jagataha Sneham Vayavaha Tivra Rukshascha Upashoshayantaha. So the Vayu and the sun rays are taking away the Snehamsha from the Jagat, from the earth. All the water bodies will start getting dried up from hereafter, and from Shishira, Vasanta, Grishma, there will be Rukshata that will be developing, and therefore the Ruksha Rasas are going to be developing. And these would make these would lead to the Daurbalya in the people also. So we have Adana, means there is the taking away of Bala of the patients or the people also taking place in this Rutus. So therefore it is called as Adana, contrary to which we have Visarga, where everything is getting nourished because the water bodies are getting full with the rainfall, the moisture is there in the climate, there is the Snehamsha, there is Shita Amsha in the climate, and therefore Ruksha Rasas are getting dominant in this Visarga Kala. So Adana Kala is the Kala from where the body starts losing its Bala also. And Bala in the context of Ayurveda has to be not limited to physical strength, but also would be learnt as immunity, because we generally see winter season as healthy season. Now hereafter, when we see the loss of bala would lead to many diseases. For example, diarrhea becomes, gastrointestinal diseases would be more rampant. Even the respiratory diseases would be more seen hereafter. Probably around 1.5 months from now, you will see the incidence rate of these diseases more, and which would be very less in winter season. And any practitioner, general practitioner, would say that winter season is generally said to be a healthy season. Now, the changes that are occurring in climate has to be seen with these four factors. The climate will be present with these. We have Shita. We know coldness is there. If the coldness is Snigdha, there is different approach that we need to follow. If the coldness is along with Ruksha, there need to be different approach that we need to see. So Snigdha Shita, where there is moisture also and the climate is also cold, which is generally in the beginning of winter. And at the end of winter and at the beginning of the summer, or particularly that we call as Adana Kala, it is where the Rukshata is getting increased, and right now Shita is also there. Now, this over a period of time, after around 1 or 1.5 months, you will see it becoming Ruksha Ushna. And the Ruksha Ushnata will be at its peak at the midpoint of Adana Kala, at the midpoint of Uttarayana. And thereafter, now you will start seeing Snigdha Ushna, and this cycle continues. And this is where we need to connect to our Rutucharyas. We need to take into account particularly these two gunas, or for that matter, four gunas, in deciding our regimen. And these are the two gunas that have been kept into mind to bring about our practice as I was talking about the Ellu Bella, etc. Now, this makes sense because we know the fact that the doshas are undergoing diurnal changes. The doshas are influenced by the climate. There is a connection between the man and universe. We know that we have learned that Loka Purusha Samya Siddhanta is there, where whatever changes that are occurring in the climate will bring about changes in me also, and therefore this shloka from Ashtanga Hridaya makes a very relevant presence as Chayaprakop Prashabaha Vayo Grishmadishu Trishu Varshadishu Tu Pittasyaha Shleshmanaha Shishiradishu. So there is Chaya, that is increase of dosha in its own place. Chayo Vriddhi Sudhamna eva occurring. And Prakopa, Kopastu Unmarga Gamitaha, Vriddhi of the doshas in other places is occurring. And that Vriddhi would gradually subside after certain time. And all this is connected to Rutus only, right? Vayu, Chaya, Prakopa, Prashama is connected from Grishma onwards, and like that from Varsha it is Pitta, and from Shishira it is the Kapha dosha. So this connection has to be kept in mind to change our practices. This is where our Rutucharya becomes important. This is where I make those subtle changes in my practices, where when it comes to Vata Chaya Prakopa, I add a little amount of ghee, I'll add a little amount of taila in our practices. I resort myself to Abhyanga so that Vayu in me doesn't lead to Prakopa. And if it leads to Prakopa, there are chances that it may produce diseases also. So this is why, this is the bottom line why we have Rutucharya in our Samhitas. So therefore, this changes are connected to changes in the climate, changes in the season, changes. That's why we owe allegiance or importance to this Makara Sankranti. And we also know the fact that Chaya eva Jayet dosham kupitaha tu avirodhens, because Sanchaye apahrita doshaha labhante naktaragati. So when the doshas are controlled, when they are in the minimal stage, then only it is better, because once they reach the Prakopa Avastha, there is chance that it may lead to prasara very quickly, and thereafter it may produce any of the disease when sthana samshaya occurs. So to avert that possibilities, we need to take control of it in the chaya avastha itself, and therefore we need to practice Rutucharya, practice the seasonal regimen that our Samhitas are talking about, and practicing seasonal regimen itself is simplified by our festivals. So when I said this, the til is a wonderful remedy to take control of Vata. We know the fact that from this time, the Vata is getting dominant, and therefore we will use the til today. Tomorrow we will go for Tilataila Abhyanga also. This is how I take care of Vata. And Madhura Rasa is the rasa which is going to be useful for both Vata as well as Pitta, and therefore I will bring the dietary changes in such a way that I will have little amount of Madhuratva in all my food from hereafter. And therefore, we have, as I was talking about, the yellow and bella and the groundnut. This is another way of using the thaila itself, and therefore this is going to be useful. Now, with this background itself, I also already mentioned why we celebrate the kite also. It encourages the people to spend time outdoors. Early morning sunlight during Uttarayana is rich in vitamin D, and it exposes the skin to beneficial sunlight and helps counter the winter lethargy, because I already mentioned Ushna Graha, Shita Graha, Adi Graha, in which we were staying to counter the climatic cold in winter, and now it allows us to come out freely and experience the sunrise. So traditional belief holds that absorbing sunlight during this period purifies the body and boosts the immunity. These are the reasons why the kite flying festival is being celebrated across the country, particularly the crux being in the state of Gujarat, and not limited to Gujarat. Many other part of the India also celebrate the kite festival. And Uttarayana coincides with the harvest season, and kite flying therefore represents the joy of agricultural labor. Throughout the year, we have taken a hard toll. We have been sowing, reaping, protecting our crop, and now is the time where we celebrate the harvesting, and therefore celebration is a form of kite flying. Celebration of abundance and prosperity is another reason why the kite flying is done. A collective expression of relief and happiness, and as I said, open skies after winter winds provide an ideal flying conditions, and therefore kite flying is done particularly in Uttarayana. So in I mean we in the state of Tamil Nadu, it is celebrated as Pongal, and the reason is we have a dish called as Pongal. Now, ironically, this also has the same logic that we use mudga, we use guda, we use grita, and other dry fruits, which are essentially to address the very same increasing vata, and thereafter, after some days, the increase of pitta should also occur, and therefore to keep them under control, this practice has come into being. So with these points, why Ayurveda how Ayurveda has seen the Uttarayana, how Ayurveda has understood this change in the climate, and how Ayurveda has addressed the Rutucharya practices. This is an unique wisdom that Ayurveda has presented as far as Makar Sankranti or Uttarayana is concerned. So with this point, I end my discussion. If there are any questions, we'll take the questions. Over to you, Sneha.
Yes, sir. Now the session is open for any discussion. Anyone who has any questions can raise their hands by clicking on the hand raise button, and the person will be unmuted for asking the questions.
Okay. There is a react icon on your screen. Anyone who has the question can click the react icon, and thereafter click hand raise. and those who click hand raise will be unmuted and they can ask the question.
So Dr. Priya has raised her hand.
Yeah, I'm trying to unmute her.
Hello.
You can speak.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in lunar calendar, you said that there are 354 days. So, how we have to compensate those with the solar calendar, sir?
Okay. So in lunar calendar, we have, lunar calendars are based on the movement of moon around the earth, and therefore it takes approximately 28 to 29.5 days for it to complete. Now, therefore, there is a change in comparison with solar calendar. Now, this is compensated through when you look into our Panchanga, at times you have something called as an Adhika Masa, an extra month, which is usually one Paksha. One Paksha means 14 days.
Okay.
So, an addition of 14 days is done. And you can see when you look into the Chaitra Vaishakha calendar, you will find after a month, after one Masa, you will find an Adhika Masa extra month. That's how this calculation is done. And therefore, that calendar also is holding good, because most of our festivals, particularly, are falling in tune with the lunar calendar itself. I mentioned some of the important festivals, they're always based on lunar calendar. How it is corrected, there is a need for corrective measures, and the correction is through adding an Adhika Masa whenever it is needed.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Madam, you can ask.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste.
Please elaborate about the kite, sir, kite festival.
No, kite festival. Okay. Now, in particularly in the state of Gujarat, this is seen, and it's a way of celebration where generally we coming from southern India don't experience harsh winter. When you go to the northern India, the winter is way too much, particularly if you look into the Delhi and surrounding places, or even in UP, etc. The temperature would be falling up to 3 degree. Delhi experienced the lowest of 3 degree this year, few days back itself. Now, what generally occurs during this period is the in the winter, the people are resorted to staying at home. Now, this is, this has a historical aspect also, because over a period of time now, there are room heaters, there are thermal wears. So therefore, there is the people who are coming out, that these privileges were not existed in the past, and therefore you will find Ajina, Kuthaka, Kaushaya, etc. as wear, as a body wear in Charaka Samhita. And at the same time, he mentions that one has to stay in Ushna Graha and Shita Graha. One has to Ushna Graha and Garbha Graha. Garbha Graha means one has to isolate oneself from protecting from climatic wind, cold wind. Cold wind is very harsh. It is Shita as well as Ruksha. It takes away the Snehamsha and entirely from the body and leads to dryness. And therefore, the people used to stay isolated. Now, being isolated is a sort of punishment. Psychologically, one gets disturbed. How long I have to stay inside itself? So here, the from the Uttarayana, it is where you can come out freely and to celebrate that freedom, to celebrate that from hereafter we can come out. It's a form of celebration where I can expose, where I can come out, where I can move in daytime without wearing those thermal sweaters, etc. The kite flying is symbolically celebrated. This is what is the reason why the kite flying is done. And there are many beliefs that the sun's radiation has can produce more amount of vitamin D. There is no scientific backing for this, but these are some of the claims that we see generally. This is the reason why the kite flying is done.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Sneha.
Yes, sir. So, as we have reached to the conclusion of our Samhita Sambhasha, I express my sincere gratitude to our respected speaker, Dr. Anand Katti, who gave an insightful understanding about Uttarayana to wellness. I also express a heartfelt thanks to all the delegates and participants who gave their active presence, and my special thanks to Vishwa Ayurveda Parishad for giving such an opportunity, and a warm thanks to Kirtana for rendering an auspicious touch by her prayer song. Again, I request Kirtana for a Shanti Mantra, and the program will be ending after the Shanti Mantra.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Thank you.